Hey, what's going on there, everybody? This is TujoPanda back in action. We're going to be talking about something a little bit differently today. So, VRChat. I am sure that a great number of you have probably picked up on the simple fact that I spend an inordinate amount of time there. And, to be honest with you, it sort of started a couple years ago. Um, I began as a desktop user, largely on the tail end of the Blobby Knuckles crisis. If none of you know what that was, basically, well, I'm going to play a little clip here for you all to look at. It should be pretty self explanatory. But yeah, what is VRChat? What's it all about? What can you do there? And why should I give a damn about it? Well, in short, as I said before, it's a social platform that's characterized as a game running off the powerful Unity engine, guaranteed not to crash. I can't say that with a straight face, so I won't. But yeah, Unity is definitely instrumental in the function of VRChat, but at its core, is merely a conduit through which to upload avatars or levels and be able to produce and generate and relay content onto the game itself. And a lot of that user-generated content is readily available for use either in public worlds, public avatars, or freely disseminated amongst people, upon request, if people are so, willing and kind enough to share in passing fancy. But yeah, there's a certain beauty about VRChat being a sort of social petri dish in which people from all walks of life can come together and really engage with one another, face to face, and they can adopt whatever avatar that they so wish to basically cover up the fact that they may not have a personality to begin with, but over time they manage to step out of whatever shell that they happen to be hiding in and they come into their own amongst their peers. And I'm not going to lie to you, there's plenty of mental issues and mental disorders that come in varying forms here on VRChat. Some of it's largely to do with the emotional state of being that somebody is in. For instance, somebody's not having a good time in life, they're facing basically a depressive mood, they're lonely. They come to VRChat to sort of overcome that, and to some degree, I would say VRChat is largely a positive influence on them. But then there are people that suffer from varying levels of anxiety, in which they can't really handle large groups of people, especially not in real life. On VR, because there is that thin veil of anonymity from which to basically protect yourself from ne'er-do-wells and other malicious types out there that might not have your best interests at heart. They can more or less engage with people, directly, and when, if they're facing perhaps harassment or undue, conversation from them, they can block them or mute them as they see fit. There's a great level of power in the hands of the individual. For instance, instance owners, and if you're wondering what instance means, it means that you are in control of a particular level in that instant that you've created. Again, it's going to take a minute for you to pick up on the lingo that I'm going to drop here, but they can kick people from the level that they so wish, or the people of that level can vote kick somebody if they're being an asshat. So, to say all this, VRChat, it's a way of life in some cases. People hop on there every day. They accrue friendships there. In some cases, they even accrue relationships there. And it's not as though, well, I would say if I had just played VRChat for a day and I just walked around to see, what there was to do, what people were actively doing, and what was going on, I would say that it was a place for raving narcissists to stare in the mirror all day as they contemplate their next schemes. By schemes, I mean drama, because boy howdy, is there a chock full of drama. Me personally, being a furry myself, I'm more familiar with the furry community than I am with other, groups beyond, the furry community on VRChat. And I will say that I'm going to make a video about communities that I'm aware of or have come and gone here on VRChat, but I'm also going to cover, for this particular video, sort of the group dynamic that I've, borne witness to. So, that being stated, given that, furries, there's definitely a focus on the more sexual aspect of things, the more romantic aspect of things, and the cute aspect of things. One thing I will say is that if people are, in inordinate times in private worlds, there's a good chance that they're probably cyberfucking. And I am just going to completely just come out here and say that. My apologies for being obnoxious and vulgar when I say this, but it's, there's at least a 50% chance that they are, anecdotally, cyberfucking. Anyway, apart from that, some people just really want to have a deep conversation with small groups of people or even a one-on-one chat with somebody that they really like. Other times, well, it's a very esoteric group of friends that want to talk about a particular thing, or they don't want to be bothered by the comings and goings of random people just kind of waltzing into the world and then waltzing right back out. Because I'm going to tell you right now, VRChat being what it is, there are zero social standards. The social standards that you can establish for yourself really are an acquired taste. You can let people into your life, you can drop them right out of your life, because the power is in your hands to some degree to control, your exposure to the inane bullshit that is VRChat in a nutshell. Because, you can have some deeply compassionate and nice conversations with people, but at the very same time, you can experience somebody that you would, quite frankly, never want to experience ever again. I say that because I've been on both sides of the equation, and I can definitely tell you that not too long ago, yesterday in fact, I saw somebody that couldn't pick up the hint that maybe I just wanted to have 5 minutes with somebody one-on-one. And, they're leering right there, sucking on their vape. Their mic was audibly loud, very loud. There's no mute button. Well, there is. You can mute people, but there's no, volume control on people. As in, you can't just click somebody and say, hey, they're a little bit too loud. Can I turn them down? No. You either mute them, or you have to bear with their bullshit. Or you turn your own mic down, or volume control down. But other than that, what I'm saying is no social standards. The social standards that you maybe would like in other people would be an acquired taste, as I mentioned. So you would cultivate a certain following, certain group of friends that you like to be around, people that you actually like to spend time with, to talk to maybe play games with online. And your friends list will probably reflect this. Granted, there's going to be a lot of diversity because these are people from all over the world. I know several multinational people that are from Europe. And, mostly from the United States, but a fairly healthy amount of people are from Europe. And, it's nice to see the sort of contrast between cultures between, the United States and, Europe and various parts unknown. I've also known some people from Central America and South America. They're also very good people. By and large, I'll just come out and say that most people that I've engaged with are very good people. And even some of the less savory types, they're not necessarily bad people. It's just that they have certain predilections that make them less than pleasant to deal with, shall we say. But as far as whether they're bad or not, I guess it depends on certain things they do or say or try to do. So, other than that, I would like to say that content is just constantly being generated for VRChat on the daily, be this in the form of levels or even avatars. Well, especially avatars, but levels are, I would almost say, just as frequently updated and created and released, but the time it takes to generate a level is immense, especially with the level of detail that goes into some of the levels I've seen. They get fairly intricate. I have to say, model designers become popular because, everyone wants to have that model. They want to embellish it and they want to alter it to reflect them, to personalize it, to customize it. But level designers, it feels like they're almost the unsung heroes of VRChat because of the simple fact that, like, everybody knows an avatar maker or designer, but next to nobody knows a level designer. And I would say level designers are just as important as avatar makers because you can have a bunch of avatars, but unless you're standing out in a green like field that was brought in from like whatever tech demo or stock like level that was brought in, it's not going to be a good time. And plus, the cool thing about level design, you can make games because Unity is a game making like software, and people showcase their creativity in a multitude of different ways. They will make maze stages that you can go through, or they will make shooting games, or they will make puzzle like sort of games, or they'll make massive board games. Hell, a friend of mine actually makes like game shows. He's very passionate about being the host at game shows, and I've actually recorded a fairly long episode of Jeopardy. Yeah, the level of customization that you can undertake in creating something, either as a level or as an avatar, is truly astounding. It just requires a modicum of understanding Unity and Blender. And if you're not going to use Blender, then you better damn well pick up Maya or Cinema 4 because, other than that, the big names, you're not going to get too far. Unity is the nexus through which you can upload avatars and levels. However, the avatars have to meet a certain criteria in function and performance, as do the levels. So you can't just slap anything into Unity and expect it to work. For instance, when I first started this game, I had to learn the hard way. Models require bones. Bones will make the model move. However, the movement has to sort of center around weight painting. Otherwise, the bones might move. Model ain't gonna look right. It's gonna look like, Silent Hill 4 monster coming at you. And people have intentionally messed around with Blender and Unity to make some truly crazy creations and just throw them on Unity, pop them into VRChat, and you see some very interesting reactions from people. Anyway, moving on. One thing I will say is that the VRChat community as a whole, there's a number of different users out there, just regular users, everyday users, run-of-the-mill users, but there's also a lot of like communities and sub-communities within those communities. Some big names that I will put out there that are still relevant are the Shiba Squad, the Best Boy, community, the Clone Trooper community. There's I guess the Weeb community considers its own thing, but there's also a number of role-playing groups out there. People that are really passionate about roleplay. And, me personally, my intention when I first came to VRChat and picked up the hobby of being a film director / movie producer, still haven't made a movie, made an ongoing series. A series that has not faded into the ether yet because I intend on releasing all the footage and keeping it going. But anyway, apart from that aside, even the movie productions I was trying to create a small internalized community within all of this. Because I wanted to do film projects with people that I actually wanted to hang out with. People that I, found to be friends or could establish real connection with, be acquaintanceship with. And it's just an example. Communities are very easy to create on VRChat, but their longevity will largely center around a few core traits that they might convey. Namely, the fun factor is the biggest thing, or a core ideology, identity, or interest that binds people together. And having a content creator as somebody that's central to stimulating the interest that is going to, really make that community grow also really helps. And anyway, bear in mind, there's a number of different Telegram groups as well as Discord chat groups that are dedicated towards or connected to VRChat in some way. I'm not saying on an official basis. I'm talking about like users will generally find another source of contact through which they can communicate and either just catch up one-on-one or as groups, or coordinate something. For instance, for me, I coordinate film shoots through Discord, but other people, they coordinate activities or games. Speaking of which, there's like I said before, there's a number of different activities and games to indulge in on VRChat, because VRChat, a lot of people like to experiment with the capabilities of Unity. 2017 currently, going into 2018 with the update, which is going to cause a lot of havoc. Supposedly, I don't actually know if it's going to cause a lot of havoc, but I will say that it's gotten a lot of people nervous, because last time they did a massive update, it broke all the models. Yes, that actually happened. I remember it. It was a dark day to behold, but hopefully VRChat, the moderators, they get it right this time, because if they don't, there's going to be a little bit of a growing phase. But I'm not trying to say this to discourage anybody from coming on to VRChat. In fact, I would definitely encourage everybody here, just give it a shot, Start off small. Start with desktop mode, because that's how I started. When you get 2 pennies to rub together, try to buy a VR headset, whether it be a Oculus Rift, a Vive, maybe even an Index if you're feeling like, you're a rich bitch and can kind of disseminate that cash flow. I don't know. I've seen some people with the Index. Some people, they had broken-ass controllers that they had to send in because there was a defect. I always get a little leery when something gets released, so I like to wait a little while to see how it actually performs in the long term, because, I use an Oculus Rift headset, one of the OG units, and I had to replace the cord a while back. It cost me $50. Now they no longer produce that cord. So what am I going to do when this cord wears out? Am I going to spend $1,000 to get the Index, or am I going to spend $400 to get the Rift S? I don't know. I'm going to cross that bridge when we get there, but at its core, VRChat is so named because it's virtual reality. So you're going to have the most fun, enjoyment, and immersion to experience VRChat in all of its intended function as you will get if you have a VR headset. However, they did give the option to have desktop users be able to enjoy a fair amount of freedom as not as much as a VR user, but there's no shame in starting to play VRChat in desktop, because a lot of people start there. They get their sort of sea legs going. They see, is this really for me? Is this really not for me? It takes time, but you're going to definitely find an interesting community full of nothing but wild and crazy antics in public worlds, but smooth, casual conversation in some of the casual worlds. Anyway, more on this in a part 2 video if I feel that there's more to mention, which there definitely is, but I hope this is a nice primer for you all to think about and contemplate, because for me, VRChat is definitely a way of life. I get on there almost every night, although I'm going to try to sort of phase myself away from that so I can focus on other things like these commentary videos that I used to do. And, it's definitely a way of life. I've met a lot of wonderful people that fill my day with just a little bit more happiness than, I had going in. And, with all of the content being produced, I find myself avidly looking forward to levels, avatars, and new people to talk to. So, that being said, I would definitely recommend you all get on either Steam VR or just Steam in general. It is free to play for right now because it's technically in beta development. Install it, give it a shot, see how it grows on you. Then when you're ready, definitely bump yourself up to a VR headset, because VR, it's an entirely different experience. Just don't get eye strain, and try not to get a headache or vertigo. Anyway, this is TujoPanda, signing off. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time, guys. Take care and peace. I hope you all have a better one.